Hi guys, so today I'm going to give a review on the movie Sinners. Now, there will be spoilers. I'm just going to say that from the jump. But also, people, I don't know, like, people have been raving about the movie, and I have not felt like, oh, I need to go see that movie or anything of that sort since I was a little kid. But about this one, I'm like, you know what? I need to go see this movie. And it wasn't because people are raving about it, because people rave about a lot of things, and most of them I'm not interested in. Um, but this one, I don't know. Spirit was just like, go see the movie. So I was like, okay, let me go see the movie. Now, it opens up talking about how people have gifts, but and it talked about like gifts of music, like storytelling or whatever, and it talked about just like artistic gifts, and it had like how in certain cultures it's called this, like in the Irish culture it had a name for it. It showed what it was called in one of the African cultures, griot or whatever, and then what it was called in native culture. Okay, so it had that European cultural aspect, the African cultural aspect, and the native cultural aspect, which, is a lot of what makes up the US, right? So after that, um, it goes to a scene where there's a little boy, he's a little black boy, a young black boy, I should say, and he is walking into a church. He looks like roughed up. He has like scratches on his face, things like that. The choir singing, but when he walks in, the choir stops. So when he walks in, the choir stops. And then his dad's like, hand it to me or whatever. And I guess he has a guitar or whatever in his hand. Now, they're in the deep South, Mississippi. Okay, that's deep South. Okay, and this is like in the 30s. After that scene, it says a day before, and it goes into what happens a day before. So, um, it has this white man who looks like he had been burned, running, and he runs to this house. It's like in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, and he knocks on the door, and he tells the lady, it's a white woman that opens the door. She's real suspicious. I think at that point she has a gun too. And he tells her, the Choctaws are after me. The Choctaws are after me, right? And so she's very suspicious of him. She's still holding her gun, looking at him like, who are you? Like, why are you here at my door? And the husband comes to the door. She calls him. Her husband comes to the door. Now, the man who's outside, skin had been burned or whatever, he looks over into the house and he sees a Klan outfit sitting on the couch or laying on the couch, right? It was an outfit, a Klan outfit. So he tells the husband, the Choctaws are after me, whatever. So the husband eventually decides, okay, let's let this man in the house. Well, some minutes after that, they get another knock on the door. The woman answers the door again. It's a Choctaw man. He's like, we're looking for somebody. They came to your house. She was like, I don't know who you're talking about. Um, I don't know who you're talking about, but we don't have anybody here. And the man says, ma'am, if you let this man in your house, he is very dangerous. We're looking for him. Da 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 da. She's like, no, we don't have anybody here, right? So she shuts the door. The Choctaw man goes on about his business. Honey, she shuts the door. She goes back in the house, calls her husband's name. She's looking in the different rooms, not seeing her husband. It's quiet in the house. Next thing you know, in this one room, her husband's sitting in the chair, blood all over him. Um, yeah, like he had just gotten fucked up. His eyes were like glowing or whatever. The dude who they let in the house comes out. Yeah. So that dude played on their hatred. right? And a lot of times hatred is attached to fear. It stems from fear. So that man played on that and was able to use that to get in and, attack them and take over them. Okay? Cuz he took over the husband's body when he turned the husband into like this flesh-eating vampire or whatever. And then yeah. So the next scene we see the twin brothers, played by Michael B. Jordan, and they moved back to Mississippi from Chicago. Now, they have all of this money, so they're being very haughty and going into town. He paid this one young little girl money to sit in his car while he went into a shop and told her if anybody comes near his car, touches his car, to honk the horn. So, she did that because it was some people going through his stuff when he was in the shop talking, when he was in the Asian man's shop talking to him, trying to do business with him. Offer him money, asked him if his wife could make a sign because he wants to open up this juke joint. He wants to open up this club, which, by the way, he had also bought this building for a club from this white man. Him and his brother did. And so, the white man was acting funny. They were like, if you don't, take this money and go and leave us alone, we never want to see you again. We want the house and the land. Right? So the white man takes the money and goes on. So, anyway, the twins, they pick up their little cousin, who's the young black boy we saw in the beginning going into the church. They go to like an area, I guess, where a train station is. They go into town and they give, or they see a man who's playing a harmonica. They know him because, they are actually from that town. And they ask him to play at their juke joint. And he's like, I'm not playing there. Like, I play here. I've been playing here for X amount of years. This place has been here for long. It's probably going to be here for 10 years more. I don't know anything about your spot. It's new, da 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 da. They're like, well, what are you paying? What are they paying you? He's like, nothing. I get drinks, da da da. He's like, I'll give you fresh, some Irish beer that we got from Chicago or whatever. 500 bottles or whatever the deal was. So the man agrees. Well, while they're at the train station, there's this white woman, and she's looking at one of the brothers. And so the little young boy, their cousin, he was like, this white woman is staring at you. And so she comes up and talks to him, asks him, where he went, why did he disappear on her, all of this stuff. And he was kind of just being like, oh yeah, like he not caring that he had disappeared and things like that. And she was like, oh, well, you can fuck me, and all of this stuff, but then you want to disappear and da 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 da. And he's like, you're married now, like you're married, and all of this stuff. So anyway, yeah, so they actually had a thing going on. So it turns out that they were involved at one point. Now, and by the way, she's white. She's married to a white man. Now, the other twin goes back to see the woman that he was with before they left and moved to Chicago. And she's a root worker. It was actually, this little girl was there when he had walked up, and she was preparing, this jar of a remedy or whatever for her. So she gave it to the little girl. The girl runs out the door. And so the brother comes, and one of the twin brothers, the one that she was with, comes and, offers her money or whatever to cook at the place. She was like, I don't want that dirty money. She was telling him how she was stressed out because she was spiritually protecting him while he was gone. He was like, well, why couldn't you protect her? And her is a child that they had. The child ended up passing away. So they have a history. They make love, all of this stuff. Yada, yada, yada. And so fast forward to that night. Later that night, because that was during the day. There's people who go to the juke joint, they're having fun, they're dancing. The young cousin is playing the guitar, he's singing. The man who played the harmonica and sang, he was singing, playing the piano in the juke joint. Everybody's having fun. Everybody's drinking. The root working woman, she agreed um, to cook food for the people at the juke joint. Um, the Asian woman made the sign. She put the sign up. She was doing the bartending. So they were there. Her and her husband were there, and everybody was just having a good time. And so it's interesting because while they were dancing, the scene, and this is a very artistic way of doing this, but when they were dancing, um, to that music, the scene goes and they start showing the ancestors of the people dancing. And so they had this um like Asian woman. I don't know what she was, but she had on like the white face paint, or whatever, and she was dancing. And then so it goes from like the modern or the 30s to further back. It has like this African man dancing, like the dance where they do their legs really fast and they have like the fringe thing on. They have him doing that. Then they had like the hip hop era, that type of dancing. And so it was going through eras of time of these different people, who are in the juke joint, right? Of their heritage. So then they get a knock on the door. And so that was the very artistic part of it. I really like that. That was really cool. But then they get a knock on the door, or not a knock on the door, but these three white people come up, and the dude who guards the door at the juke joint is like hesitant. He tells the man who's standing beside him, like, "Hey, go get, the twins, because this is, they're really weird. This is the 30s in deep South Mississippi, and you have a, black juke joint, and then you have just three white people talking about they want to come and they want to dance, they want to have fun. You're gonna be suspicious of that." So, turns out that the three white people who were at the door actually were the couple that the white man who was on fire or who had been burned ran to their house. It was that man and the couple. And they were like, "Oh, we just want to spend our money and play our music and da 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 da," and acting like real too nice, right? And they start playing the bluegrass and singing or whatever. So, eventually it's the young cousin, the twins, the root worker, and the white woman had popped up at the place too before they got there, the other white woman. And so because they used to have a thing, of course they let her in, but because people knew her from where her and that other twin were together. So they're like, "Well, why is she in here?" Because they're wondering, like, "Well, why is she there but we can't be there?" And so they tell her she's family, right? And you know come to find out, her father, I think it was, or grandfather, was half black. Okay. So this is a woman who has like majority, European ancestry, but she has some black, quote unquote black, um, ancestry as well. So they end up going away because they can't get into the club. So they go. However, one of the twins starts talking to the one that, she was involved with, the white woman was involved in, starts talking to her or whatever. And he's like, I just, basically he did his budgeting and realized he was not going to have enough money to really do much of anything after that night. So she's like, "Well, why don't you let me go talk to those people?" So talking about the three white people that popped up at the door. He was like, "I could have done that." She was like, "I'm more likely to get information out of them than you are." Okay, so she's playing both sides at that point. And and she's married to a white man, right? So she's majority white ancestry, right? And she's married to a white man, but she's truly in love with the black man. Um and so basically she goes to talk to the three white people that are sitting outside. So they're sitting outside. She goes to talk to them one of them eyes starts glowing, which we could see that, but she couldn't see it, right? And they're just being super happy and, oh, you want love and you want this and we're here for community and all that type of talk. And so she's just kind of like suspicious of it. And so she's eventually like, yeah, nah, because they said we have money. She's like, where'd you get this money from? They were like, this is ancient money and it's gold, it's pure gold. And yeah, so she's like, kind of hesitant. She gets up and she walks away, but they ended up getting her. They got her, and see, this is how they got her, because we see one fly up in the air when she's turned the other way. But this is how they got her. They got her through that playing both sides stuff. She went to get money for the dude she was involved with, but she was playing both sides. So they used that as a gateway in to get her with the money too. So to me, that's also a lesson for these people who are passing, still in today's society, passing as white, identifying as white because that's the beneficial thing to do right now, right? And how a number of them will play both sides. But just know that when you flirt with the devil, you better be just as skilled as the devil, because he can get you just like he did to her. So you got to be careful with the playing both sides madness. So after that, she goes back to the club and all of that. She makes love to the dude. Well, the cousin knocks on the door because he's looking for him, because they got the chaos going on, and I'm not going to go into the chaos, but yeah, all that was going on. And so the dude who was originally guarding the door, Cornbread, that was his name, Cornbread, had left. He said he had to go to the bathroom. So he left. He had come back. But these people had already dealt with the white woman who they got when she was outside. When she was having sex with the dude she used to be involved with in one of the rooms, honey, they bust open the door because they're trying to figure out whatever drama's going on at the juke joint. They bust open the door and she is on top of him, tearing him up, like biting him. His flesh is ripped, all that type of stuff. Like, he's bleeding everywhere. So they got to fight her, right? Or whatever they do. Because I can't quite remember if it was at that point that they fought. It wasn't at that point that they fought her. I think she ended up getting away. But anyway. So, yeah. So then Cornbread had left to go to the bathroom. Cornbread came back, and they were like suspicious because they're like, okay, now they know that. And then the root worker lady, she was there, but she said it was a haint, but she realized it wasn't a haint. Eventually she realized it was a vampire, it's not a haint. So, because she was like, something's going on. We done shot at these people X amount of times. Da, da, da. So Cornbread wanted to come back in after he went to the bathroom. They're hesitant to let Cornbread in. The root worker's like, she trying to tell all of them, don't let him in, da, 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 da. So he couldn't come in because what? When you're dealing with these low vibrational entities, they can't do anything unless you accept them in. You have to accept them in first. And they use, as we have seen in this movie, the insecurities, your hatred, your fear to get in and do the damage and whatever else they're trying to do. And so that's basically what they ended up doing. So, for instance, they didn't let Cornbread in because they had learned. The Octoroon, I think is what she may have been. Octoroon, or whatever little title means that you have like one black ancestor or whatever. They used her playing both sides, that her deceit. They used her deceit to get her. They used the racism, the hatred to get the first people. They used uh I don't remember exactly how they got cornbread. I can't remember exactly how they got cornbread, but they got him. So that's pretty much all I'm going to share about the movie. This video is already like 20 minutes long, but I want you guys to know that these low vibing entities will use those things, okay, to make deals with you, to make contracts with you. They will use your fear, whether it's fear of poverty, fear of not having love. They will use your hatred, hatred for different groups of people, hatred for whatever. They will use these lower feelings and states of being that cause these gaps in your soul to slip in and take over you. These beings are ancient, as they said in the film. They are very intelligent. So you over there thinking you can play both sides, you can do this, you can do that. Okay. They use these things to take your life force energy. You're just like what they do with a lot of the musicians, right? When they talk about making a deal with the devil. His dad said to him in the film, you do enough of playing with the devil, you're going to bring him back home with you. Something along those lines. That's exactly what it is. And I feel like that's what it was with the woman who was like white passing and whatever. She was playing with the devil by trying to play both sides. See, she was playing with the devil and they got her. They did. So, they used one of the twins had gotten, the one that was with the woman who she got him, okay? She got him, and his brother ended up not even killing him with the stake like you do a vampire. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it because he's like, this, even though this is this, he has the form of my brother. So they use that grief to come in because these entities can do that. This goes beyond the film. These entities, what it shows to me is that these entities can use these things to come in and cause harm, to destroy you, and to take your soul, really. And we've seen that happen so much, especially with you know entertainment business, a lot of these different things. And so this movie showed that how things that make people happy can also attract evil. Okay. And so this is nothing I would say to be afraid of if you're talented, but just beware that that can happen. Even if you don't have a musical talent, whatever your gift is, if you have not done the work on self, okay, which a lot of these people in this movie had not done, then they can use those gaps that were caused in your soul, in your inner being, to slip in and take you over. So that's just something to be aware of. Overall, I thought it was a great movie. I loved the artistic, like just the vision that the guy had, like of how to do everything. And like, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I think we need more of movies by like horror movies and stuff like by people of color, not even just horror, but just different genres. And so I personally enjoyed, like, really, really enjoyed seeing that. I don't, Jordan Peele and them had nothing to do with it. And honestly, I don't really care too much for their horror movies. I just haven't seen one that made me go, oh my God. Even Get Out, I feel like Get Out was okay. But this one, Sinners, this was really good. This was really good. I would suggest y'all go see it. It had a lot of messages in it. I love how, at the beginning it showed like the native culture, the African, the Irish, all those types of things, like the Asian culture, the Chinese. That's another one. They came because, see, the Chinese woman's husband had gone out. He said he was going to go out, um, get the car started or whatever so they could leave, right? Something along those lines. So he left. Then he tried to come back. They were like, no, don't trust it. Don't trust it. He was like, come on, let's go get our daughter. That's what he said. Then spoke Chinese, honey. He spoke Chinese to her, whatever, to try to get her, saying all types of vile stuff. Now I can't remember if it was her husband, that they came through her husband, because they did get her husband, or if it was another man who came. I think it was the other man who came, right? Because yeah, it was, because he was saying, we're going to get your daughter, da, da, da. Stuff to get her to come outside so that they could attack her, so that they could take her over. And she said no. She said no. I'm well, no, she was gonna do it, but they told her don't do it. They were holding her back, like, do not go. But the fact that he used her child, these entities will make threats. They will try to use your children to come and get you as well. I'm so glad that I remembered that. These entities will try to use your children and try to come through to your children to get them as well. So you also got to make sure that your relationship with your children is on point, because if that's not, they can use them or attempt to use them to get to you and just destroy whole families. So that's my take on Sinners. It was really great. Go see it. And anybody who's seen it, let me know what you thought of the movie in the comments, or let me know what you think of my review and my take on what I saw in the movie. Um, yeah, I do want to add, like, I love that they had the Choctaw, like, at the beginning, because, like, I have Choctaw ancestry, so I just thought that was really awesome too. And then just, like, being from the South, just black Southern culture, just the music, it was just so much soul. Like, I loved all of it. Like, it was just so rich. Um, but yeah, so anyway, y'all go check it out. Have a good day. Bye bye.